Good evening. I am Pastor Sam Winston, and you are live with the Mount Calvary Missionary Baptist Church of Dayton, Ohio. And we are here in the ManCave podcast. That's right, it's the third Monday of the month. And so some of our men have gathered here to share with each other and to share with you. Like and comment. Let your friends know that we are live and in action on this podcast, and you all can be a part. Tonight, our subject is who, me, and you. We're talking about relationships, relationships between men, relationships among men, relationships that are nurturing and beneficial, and because listen, here's the truth. As men, we tend not to open up. We tend not to be too vulnerable. It is less than manly. But we've got some experts here tonight who are going to share with us about just how we do that. Let me introduce the panel, and we'll go ahead and get started. First of all, Brother Clinton Coble and Deacon Myron Sandifer and Deacon Clinton Yoakley, who are here tonight to share with us as we talk about godly men and relationships. So let me ask this panel, and whoever wants to answer first can. When you consider that theme, me and you, talking about men's relationships, what is the first thing that comes to mind just when you hear it?
When the topic was sent out to us, and hearing it just now, I think the number one thing that pops into my mind is just fellowship, honesty, and a spirit of inclusion. So often as men, we want to be I guess hard for everyone else. So it calcifies our relationship from one another, because we are also very vulnerable as men. Our egos are really fragile, more fragile than a lot of people know. Without that vulnerability from one man to another, we walk the earth almost alone in solidarity. When we can say, I go through the same struggle as you go through. This is what I have done in order to get through this struggle. Being able to share that. If you don't share that with another, another a brother, then he'll be doomed to keep on walking, thinking it's somebody else's problem. So that's the first thing I think about, is the inclusion and the vulnerability of it all.
Gotcha. Yes, sir.
For, for me, when I hear the title, You and Me, I know me. But the first thing I think about is, how did I get to know you?
Wow.
I can open me up to me, but I've got to find a way to open you up to me. If I can get you to open up to me,
Yes.
then I can talk about the who.
Yes, sir.
With me, it's friendships. So I remember I have flashbacks, and I remember growing up and the boys in my neighborhood. You get out and you start doing things together, and you don't know who they are, but you have something in common that attracts you, whether it was football, baseball, basketball, or just running around together on the playground. And you build that friendship up, and out of that, then you get to see things about them, that relates to me, and they get to see things about me that relate to them. And I know that friendship doesn't go to everybody, but you started picking up, little things there. Well, we can relate on this level. You and I can have fun. You and I can do this. You and I can talk about that, and it starts there, and then it builds its way up.
Yes. Yes, sir. So how do we begin to foster those relationships? How do we know that if you want friends, you must show yourself friendly. That right? We know that's the truth. But how do we go about starting to foster those relationships, showing ourselves friendly, that makes it okay, Deacon Yoakley, for for you to start to get to know me? How do I make it such that somebody wants to put their guard down?
I think by putting your guard down. You know, I've always said there's always somebody watching you. And that means that you're watching somebody else. And it's, opening up yourself to say, simplistically, hi, you know, um, can we do this? Can I do that with you guys? And then that way, if they're open to you, then you can start to build some type of relationship. But you're gonna have to be vulnerable to them in some kind of way, maybe at the beginning.
I think that's a very key, vulnerability. And for me to be vulnerable means I have to smile. I'm so busy thinking about me that I forget that as I move around that you are there too. So if I don't change my thinking as I move around, it's not always about me. Yes, sir. It's not always about me, even though I know me. And as I move around, I'm thinking, what am I going to do next? Or what did I just finish doing? Or what am I going to? But in the process, you are somewhere in there. And until I open me up, I have no way of getting to you.
There's a likability factor. There's a likability factor that I believe also needs to be encompassed with that. You need to build a relationship, and sometimes you get someone to come talk to you by one being a good example, by being likable, and all, I mean there's a line there, but you want to present yourself as the example. I talk to my children about this often, is that you're the architect of your life. So first, you think about how you want to be. You write your own obituary, and then you want to live that. So once you start doing that, I want to be likable. I want to be an example. I want to be the kind of man that I would aspire for my children to one day be. I want to be the kind of man that my wife is proud of, that my parents are proud of. I want to be that man. So as you're walking that walk, and we all fall short, but as we're walking that walk, others will take notice. Deacon Worthy and I were just talking about that. Others will take notice. So once they take notice, and you have the likability factor, I believe that opens you up for someone to come and have a conversation with you. I was working on a property that I have in. The gentleman, he's a painter, and he, for some reason, I don't know why, Pastor, I don't know why, he started calling me Reverend. I don't know why. I don't know why. So he started calling me Reverend, and so I just kind of like let it go and everything. And then the more I talked to him, he asked me about some things that's going on in his life, and I gave him some advice. And I'm the kind of man, I crack jokes and all the time, so it's likability. But he said, "Man, I thought you were a reverend." I said, "No, I don't have that ordained to me." I said, "Now, right next door is the reverend. If you want to talk to a reverend, he's right next door." But there's a likability factor. I think that has to be present, and then an openness, and then, like I said, a vulnerability, and then asking them about themselves. What I found in the industry I'm in, people like talking about themselves. It's their favorite subject. So if you ask, well, tell me more, you'll find out a lot more about them. They tend to open up a little bit more. And then that likability factor is there, and then you can start building that bond in the relationship.
Yes, sir. So tell me this, as men who are involved in church, as men who love God, and because the context of this, right, is we are God men, right? We are. What is it that you expect out of having or building relationships with other men who love God? What are you looking for?
community. Excuse me. Community. Like people are doing things alike. We have that same interest. We have that community likeness in mind. You know, I'm looking out for you. You're looking out for me. You know, I don't have to be perfect because I'm not. Nobody is. You know, but you'll overlook that because you know who I am. You know, and in that community we give off certain things, Reverend. You know, it's just certain things that people see about you that will attract you because he's looking at you. Somebody else is looking at you. You know, so we want to build that community of men, of women, of children, you know, of society, you know, and that's one of the things that is important is that community where we're all looking out for each other.
Yes, sir. Go ahead. Oh, yes, sir.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
You spoke of men in the community. As a ministry, what is it that we're missing or not doing to get men more involved in a men's ministry?
Anybody want to take it? All right. Yes, sir.
One of the things that I look for is men who love God.
Yes, sir.
Now, how that's displayed is different for each of us. Because each of us have, first of all, each of us have a different definition of God, number one. But number two, we have a different definition of how that love is understood in us. The love of God displayed on a man for me is how well that man takes care of himself. If he doesn't, here's a stickler for me. Shine shoes. A man that's got dirty shoes, to me, says he doesn't think very much of himself. Because one of the things that men are sensitive about is our shoes. So your shoes really talk about you to me.
Gotcha.
Okay.
I think to Deacon Wortham's question, I think a lot of it has to do with starting when they're young, reaching out to the youth and getting them involved. I believe Mount Calvary does a really, really great job at getting the youth involved during Youth Sundays when they have the young men and young women serve as ushers and help with communion and things of that nature, and letting them grow into a position, but then also possibly having them shadow other ministries and kind of do a rotation. I think that would be one way so they can see the ministries that may speak to them or resonate to them. They may not want to do Kingdom Force. They may want to be a part of the kitchen ministry. But sometimes we kind of pigeonhole them based on what their parents have done or what we anticipate that they like or they want to do. But just having them rotate and starting them off when they're younger, doing some type of shadowing, I believe that may be a way to reach the young individuals and then raise them into that, because we have such a wealth of community and the young adults. I don't know how many came up here the Sunday when you called for those who are graduating and those in school, but it was a whole herd of teens and preteens and everything. But getting them all involved in that way, I believe, would help us in the future getting active young adults in our ministries.
Raising another step, as an unchurched adult, how do I make him feel welcome into the church? As an unchurched adult, coming into the church, how do I make him feel comfortable or wanting to join a ministry, particularly a men's ministry, with all the options that are available in the church, how do I reach out to him to get his attention, to make him feel comfortable and welcome?
So, and I apologize. One, there were many great men in the Bible. David was a man after God's own heart, but he fell short. So the number one thing is to lead with compassion and understanding and not judgment. And I think so often that people who may not have been raised in church or may have not given their life to God yet feel like they're going to be judged, and so they want to kind of stay away. So first, we need to show that same level of grace that God showed us, because we all are sinners. We all have fallen short. I think that's the number one thing, to get them to open up, and then to just have fellowship. Again, that likability factor, to get them in, and then lead by example. People are watching you when you don't know they're watching you. So be that example, when not just when you're here at church, but Pastor says it. I mean, when you're out in the street, when you're in the grocery store, when you're at your job. You can't be one way and then turn around and be another way. So be consistent with that, and then just start talking to them. If you're in the ministry, like, hey, it's something, I would love for you to come, just hang out for a little bit. Would you mind? Asking that question, the worst answer you can get is no, right? So I think that may do it.
And what I was going to say is we have to be present here, so when they do come in, we have to see them, because their presence, and that is, you may not know them, you see them come in, we have to introduce ourselves to them, make them feel welcome. And I think that's, because I talked to Pastor about this once before, we want to make it so that people feel welcome when they come in, like, oh, I come here and they don't want me to sit there, they don't want me to do this, they don't want me to do that, and then look for them next week, They'll come back. They felt welcome this time. When they come back, you might not remember their name, but go up again and ask them, I saw you last week, or if it's some time in between, say, hey, I didn't see you last week, but you got to make people feel welcome, like
you do a good
they
job
want
of
to
that.
be a part of it. Thank you. And therefore, then they'll start to see you out someplace. Then you start to building that relationship. It starts out just as, okay, here's somebody that came. I don't know who they are, but I just want to make them feel welcome, and then next time they come, I'll make them feel welcome again, and then they'll start to open up. They'll start to feel like they could be a part of, and what is it? We plant the seeds, God does the watering, so that's what we need to do. It's just get them here, make them feel welcome, and let them come back.
Yeah, those are legitimate points, and I've heard raised several times already. What boils down to giving the grace, the same grace that we need to receive. Yeah, there is there's another piece to Brother Wortham's question that he asked, and that was about not just getting them in, but how do you get them involved in men's ministry in particular, right? If we're talking about these relationships, most times those are going to be built in the church setting in some sort of men's ministry, right? Any thoughts on how you get them from just coming to involvement? Yeah, to.
If I knew I would have a stronger kingdom for us, I don't have that answer. I'm sorry.
I would say give them something to do. Start out small. Just like if we like this event here, all the men that show up, designate one person to have them to sign in. Say, hey, this is what I want you to do. It's not something big, but I need you to make sure that everybody here signs in when they come in. So that way we have a contact.
Yes.
I need you to do this little something, make them feel like they're a part of, and then it can grow from there.
Yes, sir. Brother Sam, you had a question or comment?
I got a question, and I got a question. I don't know if it's a question or not, but I live at the Biltmore downtown, and
Yes.
It's like guys just come down to the Biltmore, just sit in front of the Biltmore and just just be sitting out there drinking and shooting dice and playing cards.
Yeah.
So, me personally, I try to give them the word of God, and they just saying that they don't want to hear it because it's a lot of hypocrites in the church. So I said, well, if you're not going for the people that's hypocrites in the church, you're going for yourself and try to save yourself. And then they were still saying that they can, have church at home, that they don't have to be in the congregation, just to be with around the Christian people, that they can just stay at home and do it. So I said, well, you need to be around the people that that can show you love, and instead of people that the people on the TV can tell you something different than the people that's here can tell you something different from what they saying.
Sure.
So they were just saying that, well, we still have church at home. So I said, well, do what you got to do. But I'm just here to try to tell you what God told me to tell you to do.
Yes,
You need to be around people that love you and that can show you what, if you want to be a Christian or not, or just stay out here on the streets. And they said they do what they do, so I just let them go do what they want to do because I did my job. So
Yes, sir. All you can do is present it.
yes, sir.
And the truth is, there's a lot of hypocrites outside the church. Absolutely. You're going to encounter them wherever you go. But how do we speak to men? How do we interact with men who have had some bad experiences with church or with other Christian men, who you're fighting something that you don't even know what existed? How do we interact with them? Because if to Brother Wortham's point, if we're going to reach unchurched men, then we are definitely going to encounter men who have a bad taste in their mouth about church and church people. How do we deal with that as men?
Drip on them.
Say who?
Drip. Like drip, drip.
All right.
Talk about that love. I had a situation years ago. I was a prodigal son. You grow up in the church and you get a certain age, you get away. My wife and I, we got invited to this couple's house. She told me, she said, well, they invited us. He likes football, and and we go and talk, and so okay then. So I went there, and he was watching a football game. And I sat down. I said, "Oh yeah, we can relate." I'm looking at the TV. All of a sudden, he got the Bible right here. And really, it kind of pushed me off. Because I didn't really know him that well. He's going to hit me with the Bible. We haven't built anything. Long story short, he wasn't what he was. Domestic violence. Domestic violence. Okay, I found this lady, but in turn, I was there for him to drip on me some. Build a relationship. Then you just don't come with me. Well, the Bible says this. The Bible says that. Because I believe a lot of people are the prodigal sons and prodigal daughters. They grow up. I'm grown now. I move away. But then as I get to know you a little bit, I can talk to you a little bit about what God has done for me. Yes, sir. He may not do the same thing for you, but he's done that for me. And the way you can see that is when I've heard so many people say, man, pastors just stepped on my toes today. Somebody told him my business, But there's like 4 different people, and they have 4 different things that they're dealing with, And I said, yeah, you're right. He did. That was God talking to you for your situation. Sure. And then just let it go. Yes. Don't tell him, man, explain the sermon to him, anything like that. Yeah. But you just, hit him with a little something, drip something on him, yes, and then just let it sink in.
Gotcha. Yes, sir. Any other thoughts?
I think you first need to know the word. It's important to know the word, sure, so that when the opportunity presents itself to have a conversation, that you can tie it back to something in the book. Yes, oftentimes we give opinions and thoughts and how we feel things should be when it needs to be rooted in the word and tied back to that. And then when you can point to the actual scripture into it. And so it's not that just I'm Bible thumping you, but as in a casual conversation, you can start just talking about it. and then at the end of it say, just so you know, this is if you're going through this, what we just got finished reading was in Proverbs. Just take a look at this, or we want to think about having all these material things. Take a look at Ecclesiastes, just different things in the Bible. So first, know the Word, and then you pray for an opportunity that God presents Himself in a conversation where you can interject the Word, and I think you can reach most individuals that way. I think if you listen to a person long enough, they'll give you an opportunity to include the Word in some way, shape, or form. And then it doesn't have to be so serious all the time. It doesn't have to. You don't have to like spray holy water on their forehead, or hold their hand and start beads of sweat. You don't have to do all that. Sometimes it's just really quick and powerful, and then, like I said, lead by example.
Yeah, there's something to be said for relational evangelism, right? Relationship is really what tonight is all about. Is what we're talking about tonight. Relationship with godly men. Now tell me this. So I know you don't believe it, but I'm about as introvert as they come. Right? I am most comfortable in the pulpit, talking to hundreds of people. One-on-one, not so much, right? If we're at a gathering, my wife is talking to everybody. I'm in a corner with a sign on my forehead that says, "Please don't talk to me." And it's not because I'm trying to be mean. It's because, number one, I'm shy and I'm an introvert. How do you, Brother Oakley, how do you attract an introvert into relationship? Because I'm in general, people who think like me probably aren't looking for new friends, but how do I hate to use the word entice, but how do we help introverts to get into relationship with God, with other godly men? Because introverts need it too.
Yeah.
Especially.
I think a primary thing, and especially about men, is to find something about him that he likes to talk about. Because most of us, most men, don't have a problem talking about themselves because that's who they know. That we know ourselves better than we know anything. And if you want to talk to me about something I'm wearing, the cologne I got on, something that's personal to me, and if it's personal to me, I want to talk to you. I want to tell you about it.
Gotcha.
Because that was something that made me like it.
Sure.
And I wanted to make you like it too. So if we can, and that requires observation.
Sure.
You can't talk so much. You got to be observant. And if you're observant enough, and I'm going to use a worldly word, and you're savvy enough to talk about it in a way that it is complimentary to him, usually you can draw him in.
Win him over?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes. Brother Sanford?
Yeah, I just want to piggyback on something he said. One, we need to be observant. How can we draw him in? Be observant. If I see you sitting over there, I'm observing you first of all, and then I have to be intentional. I see him sitting over there by himself. Let me probe a little bit. Let me go over and see what he's wearing, the shiny shoes. listen, I saw, I like that outfit, or I see you sitting over here. I don't want to bother you a lot, but I just wanted to meet you because, man, I really like that jacket you got on, or something. But we have to be observant first of all to see who's out there, and then we have to be intentional in what we're trying to do, not overwhelm anybody, but just to open the door a little bit.
Sure. Yes, sir.
Well, I just want to answer the question that you was an introvert.
Yes, sir.
Going to win you over. I think men don't tell other men that they love them. Like, if a man will tell a woman, I love you. Well, I think men should do that, especially to someone they really care about. I think if we can do that to each other, especially after conversation, you at least say, hey, man, I love you. You're going to really, 9 times out of 10, you're going to get that back. I love you too. Now, you're getting that, drawing that closer to each other. Now you feel more comfortable. So when you talk to them, you can about say whatever you want to feel, whatever you want, and have some good conversation and good laugh so that you can, not get in that corner. Don't want that sign over your head, okay? I think we should just start telling each other we love them, because some of us brothers down here, I don't know I tell Sanford, but I tell Brother Yoakley do.
Pastor, let me ask you, how would someone win over an individual like yourself? Because my first inclination would be maybe just say hi to you one Sunday, compliment something, and then the next Sunday, just be consistent, nothing overbearing, to the point where you smile when I come up. Hey, man, good to see you. And then over time, it starts to build. I would believe for an introverted person, it wouldn't be come up, have a conversation. It would be just slowly letting you get to know me. I'm not a threat. I'm not anything else. I'm just happy to see you. And then that kind of starts to build the relationship. Is that a way, or?
Yeah. Yes, sir. So when I'm in the corner by myself, I'm not looking for conversation, right? But I notice when you come up and engage me, right? And then, like you said, Brother Sanford, if you come up a second time and engage me the next time, and you keep engaging me, because I'm probably not gonna reach out, and it's not a you issue, it's a me issue, right? And I recognize that's a me issue. That's a me being uncomfortable with initiating those conversations, because that's just the kind of person I am. I'm not comfortable with that. But you make me comfortable when you keep coming, when you come, right? And then when I figure out that you're okay and that I can be vulnerable, yep, that it's safe, then we may even work up to loving each other, But that's a whole lot of vulnerability you're talking about there.
You gotta play kickball with a person for a long period of time.
Right. One of the things that grates my insides is when I feel like sometimes we cheat, because I don't care what you say, love you and I love you are just not the same. Don't say to me, love you. No. If you're gonna commit. I love you. Yeah. But that's a whole lot of vulnerability. But that's what's necessary for relationship. There is no relationship without vulnerability.
There's a place to start with that. That I love you. If you have a son, do you tell your son, I love you? Because it's to tell another man I love you, and you're not starting with your family. Right. Your son, there so many men grew up and said, I never heard my dad say I love me. He loves me. So that's a place for us to start. Is somebody that's in the household. Yes. So as he grows and he has a son, or a daughter, he can say I love you, and it starts to ring in. So then they feel comfortable saying to another man. another male, I love you. You know.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, Deacon Oakley.
A question. What is our responsibility, if any, within the family to increase the family? And when I say increase the family,
Yeah.
increase the size of the family to get others involved, present and involved in the conversation like we're having this evening. Do we have a responsibility, or does it just happen?
I mean, he says he'll know you by the amount of fruit that you bear, right? So as you go out, I think there's a responsibility that's implied biblically that we're supposed to go out and spread the gospel as good news. And by doing so, we are a walking example of what our Father is. And that opens the door for conversation to then ask someone if they don't have a church home, if they want to just hear a good message or just want to be around some godly men, to invite them in. I think the responsibility for me is implied biblically. And so if I try to follow God's word, man, that's the easy one for me to follow.
Yes, we do have a responsibility because we're to go out and teach. If I'm going out and I'm teaching how I live, how I should live, how you should live, then that's going to increase. It doesn't stop with that next person because I'm teaching them to teach somebody else. So at that point we are increasing the family.
There's something there's a scripture that you alluded to earlier. One plants, one waters, God gives the increase, right? So if does it just happen was part of Brother Oakley's question. So it would seem to me from that scripture that you brought up, it doesn't just happen, right? God is the one who gives the increase, but we've got some work to do, planting and watering, right? For God to give the increase. Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Brother Williams?
I heard you say you're like an introvert. Yes, sir. Like you said, it's hard for me to believe that. It is. Like you said, but I see with a lot of people, it's like that, sometimes I could be like that too, and I try to open myself up to others, and I try to start initiating a little bit if I can. So like I see Brother Yoki, I might say, well, I remember him from work, and we'll start talking about our job, or those are times we was working years ago, and if you remember us working, together, yeah. But I see yourself. I say, that's Pastor Sam over there. I saw him at the Lowe's one time. So we gave each other a hug and said, well, maybe
We used to take music lessons together.
That's what I'm gonna start talking about.
Yes, sir.
It's something like that, and I see my brother here. I said we got new cars, and so well, speak on that a little bit. Like, little things that we have in common that you see, and it sort of opens up stuff like that, and it branches out, and then you get to talk about something else, and sometimes once you get talking with your friends and stuff, they'll open up to you a little bit, and you start opening up conversation where you can sort of bring the word in there, like you said, well, how you do this and how you do, well, I'm doing pretty good, working everything, but through the grace of God, these things came about, And they say, oh yeah, you know the word a little bit. They say that, well, you go to church. That's what they say. That's what they say. I'm talking about how I experience things. Well, you go, Mount Calvary. Oh, I know Mount Calvary. It's Pastor Sam, all that. And it started branching out like that. Good things, Just I try to initiate myself, to open up a little bit.
Gotcha. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Brother Worthy?
Just raised a question. Just a few minutes ago, you talking about saying the word love. I just recognized a few years back, and my wife brought it to my attention. She said she was having a conversation with my son, and he was telling her, I know my dad loves me, ain't no doubt about it, but he very seldom tells me I love you. And when she told me that, I thought about it, and I said, wow, I didn't know he thought that way. Because, he said, I know he loves me by the way he treats me. He said, no doubt my dad loves me. He said, but my dad very seldom tells me I love you. He's heard me say it to his kids, my grandkids, but my dad very seldom tells me he loves me. And as she told me that, I said, wow, I never thought about it. So now when we have a conversation, before I hang up, I love you, son. And he just laughs. Because he knows what generated it. Yeah, I love him. He knows I love him by the way I treat him. But I never, seldom, did I vocalize it.
Yes, sir. That's not what they did. Men didn't do that in Georgia.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
I just want to speak on, we was talking about the love and how we get from me to you. When I first met Brother Birdsong, I think it was a spiritual thing with God because, I sit over in that corner every Sunday.
Yes, sir.
And the first time I ever met him, he came over, him and his wife, and sit down. And my wife always tell me, you don't meet no strangers. And I guess he don't either. So he told me some very personal, intimate things about him and what he was going through. And I was like, wow. But I think it was spiritual because as soon as he got through, I said, well, you don't look like the boy of hell. I told him what was going on with me. And once I got through, he said, brother, I really appreciate you sharing with me. I really do. That helped me. But he was telling me about he gonna get up there and play music because his fingers wasn't right. I said, God gonna put you up there. And he did. And me and him became so close. Now, you're my love. Now, that's a brother I really love. I used to call him every day, but that's the way we met. Wow. I mean, just like that. So I think sometimes God do bring you together. And with you having good vibes, he gave me good vibes, I gave him good vibes. And that's the way it starts sometimes. Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Go ahead, Brother Yoke.
I just heard a word that wasn't said, but I heard it. Being intentional.
Yes.
And I guess maybe I'm learning this tonight. If we're going to develop relationship with anything or anybody, we're going to have to be intentional.
Yes, sir.
Even if it means being vulnerable.
Yes.
I'm through.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Brother Sandifer and then Brother Wortham.
One of the things to answer part of that question again, what's in it for me? Just like if you're listening, and especially to the people that are online, we're open here for the men to come in, the men to have a conversation, the men to hear things and to converse with each other. We talk about love, we talk about being vulnerable. We have a forum here, first of all, to where we can open up to each other and say, well, this is what is going on with me, and then you can understand what's going on with you. I might say something that is particular to me, but it's particular to you in a different situation, But that's one of the things that's what's in it for me with the men's ministry is a place to start to build those relationships. There are men, all the men that are here, I can talk to somebody, I can start to build my relationship with somebody, and then it spreads. It gets to be like a cold, and then you got the group of men that are coming together on a common cause, So yeah, that's what's in it for me. You have to take that first step, come in and get involved a little bit, and then it can grow from there.
Yes, sir. Brother Wortham.
Just going to piggyback on the last comment you made.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, having Southern parents, I didn't hear that a lot.
Right.
I heard a lot from my mom.
Right.
Very seldom did I hear it from my dad.
Yeah.
So that's what that was what I picked up because that's what I saw. But I've come to learn just recently that verbalizing it is confirmation of how you feel.
Yep.
And folks need to hear that.
Agreed. Absolutely. I'm learning. I got parents from the South, too. All right. Good. So we've talked about it. We've talked about a lot tonight. We have shared tonight. Here's my question. Tell me how to put some feet to what we've talked about tonight. So if we know that if you want friends, you got to be friendly. We know that iron sharpens iron, so we need each other. Tell me how to start. How do I be intentional going from this night, or do we just leave this good talk and do nothing?
Well, I'm gonna start with Sunday.
Yes,
with
sir.
the men when here. When you come Sunday, go talk to some men that you don't know. We have in this church, we have a lot of men that are coming here.
Yeah.
We have a lot of single men. We have a lot of young men, middle-aged men. We have a lot of family men that are coming here. Just go up to them, introduce yourself, ask them their name, tell them, hey, I might not remember next Sunday when you come, but come looking for me. Come look for me, ask me, say hello to me so I remember you. There's a lot of people and stuff, but we have to be intentional. And I said that's where it starts. Get them here, because they come in that door back here, and then they'll go and they'll sit, and we all got our spots. Sure. Everybody sits certain spots and stuff, but just be intentional in going to seek out somebody that you don't know and ask them, well, who are you? This is who I am, and for me, that's a start.
Gotcha. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What you think, Bro Coble?
So there's a part of service. I was watching online. I was moving Donovan in to,
Yes,
but we're watching online where got up and we got to go out and kind of fellowship just really quick last Sunday. We used to do that a little more often, and I understand it's a crunch time because you have another service. But in that period of time, as men of the church, now here's the thing: for individuals like yourself, you may not come back if 20 people come up and greet you. I get that.
You are absolutely right.
Yeah. But if during that period of time, we're cognizant of that. For individuals who are in this area, just a couple of people just going up and speaking to them and not bombarding the same person over and over again. Because I know if I'm introverted and I'm only one person that no one's seen before, and I have 30 people lined up to speak to me, I'm probably not going to come back the second time. So
You're popular.
yeah. So just during that time, as men, we just be aware of who's new or someone we just haven't spoke to. Just wanted to say hi, hey, high five, and keep it moving. Doesn't need to be a long conversation. It needs to be, hey, good to see you, and then keep it going, and then start breaking down that wall just little by little. It's funny, everything I relate to something. Everybody here has had a pet. Almost everybody here. Anybody here not ever have a dog? Everybody has, right? So, and not to relate people as dogs, but honestly, how do you get like a puppy to come be your best friend? You go, you show a little bit of affection, a little bit more, a scare one, a little bit more, give a treat, so on and so forth. Every now and again, just give it some attention, a little bit more, and just keep on going until the person then opens up to you.
Gotcha. Yes, sir. Brother Yopley, we got 60 seconds. How do I put feet to this?
I just looked around and looked at the sections. And as I look at those of us who are present tonight,
Yes, sir. There's one for each of us.
Sunday, if we'll just change our seat.
That's asking a lot, D.
I'm out of town this Sunday, so no problem.
So your seat's taken.
That's asking a lot for me. If we'll change our seat, it's amazing, first of all, who we'll see differently.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And in changing our seat, we're going to sit next to somebody. In fact, a man, we're going to sit next to a man
Yes, sir.
Sunday that we didn't know. So it can become mobile
Yes, sir.
but we got to be intentional.
Intentionality.
I
Yes,
think
sir.
you should do that.
That's-
Absolutely.
That's good stuff. Well, we have to wrap up this time together. We have appreciated being here with these panelists. Let's give these panelists a hand. And thank you all for joining us online. The conversation continues. Listen, here is the point. We need each other. Godly men need to sharpen godly men. That's the way God set this up. And so my prayer is that we will be intentional. I am proud. One of the things I am proudest about here in the Mount Calvary Church is the number of men that are here. You are not alone in anything. You don't have to be. You just got to connect. Until the next time we see each other, may God give you strength and wisdom and victory for every situation you have to face in Jesus' name. Good night, y'all.